no.
Just incredible, incredible stuff. But this is going to be so exciting. Game 1, Weibo have selected blue side, and we have to see what they can get done with it. T1 absolutely a terror on red side throughout this event.
And one of the big questions coming in was, what is Weibo's plan going to be in game number 1? Seeing that they are the underdogs, we have our answer. 100% Faker's playing a different champion this time around.
This was such a discussion point of would mid lane be that focus? Maokai left available, but you have to know Rel is available for Owner, and he has been stellar on it. There's a lot of options here. Bot lane focus could be big as well, and they're going to do it right away.
And this is the thing. The Kalista has been such incredible priority. It was something actually used against T1 in the JDG series, and I think Renata Glask is the most important champion for this series as a whole. Crisp, incredible on the champion. Keria, of course, debuting it in their very first game in the Swiss stage at Worlds. So this is very, very important, especially to see what the rest of Weibo's plan is.
And not only does it deny Crisp, we've also seen Keria himself be extremely successful on this. Keria Renata, Renata Kalista rather, incredibly hard to deal with. It will be the Shy going back to the Aatrox, which has been the main blind pick, but Zeus immediately in game 1 pulls out his Yone. Also Xiaohu will be playing the Jace, meaning we get that Maokai Jace combo that has terrorized the Rift all year.
Yeah, this is going to be incredibly exciting. Getting the Yone here, game 1 in the finals. T1 getting spicy already.
And now is it actually the Yone for Zeus? That's the question.
Faker.
Because Faker has played, I believe he celebrated his 70th unique champion this year. People have been talking about Faker's champion pool. It's a really interesting topic, right? Because we don't know how much he's been practicing recently, but I think he's played the most champions professionally out of any other person on the planet.
Exactly. I mean, this guy is the consummate professional. He's such a grinder. He's been back from his injury for quite some time, so you have to give him that respect that he can play everything. It is going to be such a focus down towards bot lane, though, now, as T1 are the ones blinding their bot lane. They're going to be banning away the Varus, the Ashe, 2 of those really highly prized picks. Crisp has been playing more of the Enchanters, though. He's moved towards things like Lux and Heimer when Renata was gone, so I'm going to be interested to see where he actually takes us.
I'm also really big fan of the bend here from Weibo, because we now have, I think, Owner's best champions all gone. The Rel and the J4 are the front, but his Sejuani also was quite strong, and taking that away might put Owner in a tough situation, and he has been the player that improved so much throughout, or rather from summer to the World Championship. Putting him in a difficult position could be a big win, as it is the Ahri for Faker.
So Faker's Ahri coming out, and that does immediately make you think, could it be a Vi as that last pick? You know, the Vi-Ahri pairing has been so popular throughout the year. There's also an angle to play like a Poppy or something like that if we get more dash-style champions coming out from Weibo. But it's going to be Senna TK just trying to neutralize this bottom lane here. And we'll see how well it's going to do.
Yeah, this is something that a lot of people have been talking about as well. The fact that Light and Crisp can go back to this style, we've seen already that they can play it to great effect. We'll see what the answer is going to be, though. Hard engage into the Tahm Kench is something that can be a little bit difficult if it is single target. So maybe not the Vi here, and maybe it could be the Poppy for Owner. We'll see where he decides to go.
I feel like Wukong could actually be a pretty good answer.
Oh, Lee Sin! Okay. All right. Well, that is definitely a choice you can make in game number 1. Of course, this is Owner's most famous champion by a country mile.
And something that for T1 was a really big surprise for me was that when you look at the way that they beat JDG, it wasn't just with these style of comps. They actually opted into more team fighting. This time around, though, this comp needs to win in the early game. Faker and Owner, Guma and Keria, they need to start stacking dragons. They need to get ahead early, because if you get to the mid to late game, look at the front to back on Weibo, right? This is a composition that's really hard to engage into, and if T1 ever lose map control, trying to get onto Maokai, trying to take down individual targets against the Kench is going to be extremely difficult.
And when you're second to those objectives with Maokai saplings in every brush, you're going to be getting poked out by the Jace, which could be difficult, but both teams lacking a little bit as far as the hard engage goes, but T1 does have the ability to pick people off, you know, with the Lee Sin, with the Yone, with the Ahri. They want to be moving around the map. They want to be pushing out lanes, catching people in transitions, taking these skirmishes as often as they can, and we are just moments away from getting onto the Rift.
Exactly. Game number 1 is upon us. Of course, T1, a lot of finesse possibilities with a composition like this, but I look at Weibo's draft and I think we've seen these styles of draft so many times in the past, staying tried and true as we head onto the Rift for our very first game. T1 coming out swinging, and Weibo, I think, ready to pick up that punch. See exactly how it is going to go. Worlds 2023, game number 1. Let's do it.
And already, I've got to point out, it's triple TP for Weibo. Crisp is going to be taking the TP on that Tahm Kench, so feeling that they can't necessarily get pressured heavily enough to actually get killed. If he feels he's going to get chunked out, hey, you TP back early. You know, you keep up that farm as much as you possibly can, but it's going to give you the advantage in playing that map because they will have that extra teleport come mid and late game.
Another thing here is, what is the level 1 going to be? I think that one of the other really underrated parts of the Senna Kench is how strong their level 1 is.
Exactly right, but just a reminder to connect your League of Legends account with Prime Gaming to grab the exclusive Braum W emote. And if you haven't done it already, my goodness, I mean, this is, just do it. Just do it now. That'll be fantastic.
It's a really good emote.
Yeah.
And you saw there as well, no opportunity, unfortunately, for Weibo to use it, at least for now, although late invade might come through. But I do think that the level 1 of Weibo is so strong, and they're clearly expecting this. So T1, I think, very smart not to opt into this and take the risk in game 1 of the finals.
And they were pretty good at utilizing Tahm Kench in that level 1 play, if we remember back to it as well. So certainly no shenanigans this time around. And I think in a game number 1, that is a good idea. Faker on his 4th unique champion here for Worlds in game number 1 of the final. But of course, Ahri is one that he's been famous for many years.
And I think there's going to be so many eyes on the mid lane because Xiaohu has not been performing to the level that people were hoping for from him. You know, he hasn't been having that incredible tournament, but now here in his first ever World Finals, he's got to step up if it's going to be Weibo win.
Exactly. Well, Piercing Darkness coming through there from Light. Not too much, just a little bit of a tussle, a little bit of checking each other on the bottom side of the map, as Faker now trying to push forward. Xiaohu just having an okay time here as the Jace into the Ahri.
And we'll see if we're going to see, and rather where we're going to see the early jungle attention. Because I think for T1, obviously, self-explanatory, Dragons and Heralds are incredibly important to pick up early. But there is an opportunity to try and go for these aggressive plays. I think Weiwei in particular has been really good about consistently finding bot line angles. Although he is currently pathing towards bot. We'll see how T1 can cover for Zeus, because he is already shoving in. And if you can get an early kill on the Yone, it can really send it behind.
Well, an owner's going to use this to invade, right? He's going to win this duel against Weiwei, so he's just going to try to get right in his face, push him out. He knows he has that pushing top lane, and we'll see how this fight does go.
Yeah, nice little sidestep there to avoid the Sonic Wave. Weiwei just making sure that he can keep that health bar high. Has actually popped the potion there as well. Gets the sapling in the brush. His owner's just looking to try and wreak havoc.
But look at Zeus. Zeus is already moving down. That's why he starts the camp now, because Zeus got the push in. He's going to come down, so Weiwei's going to have to back off. He could look for the 50-50, but he risks putting himself in danger. So it should be Owner grabbing the Wolf, and they can continue this pressure on. You can look towards mid now, as Xiaohu's in trouble.
Yeah, Owner immediately moves over. There's the flash. A Q's going to land from Owner, but he decides to not go in under the inner turret, and Xiaohu looks to try and fire back.
This is just great stuff early on here from T1. Owner, 3 camps top, moves into the enemy jungle to cover Zeus on the push, then uses Zeus' pressure to move down, steal the Wolves, rotates over towards mid where Faker has that, now into a bot side scuttle. This is really clean, really well pre-planned play here from T1.
And I'm going to be looking towards how are the junglers able to punish the lack of flashes.
W as Faker gets the charm. He stomps it to the skies, but I don't think it's going to be enough because his flash is already down. And first blood goes to Xiaohu.
And I haven't even finished my sentence, or Weiwei does that exact thing. Punishes Faker for being that far up in the lane. And all they gave up for it was a wolf camp.
And we said Xiaohu had to have a good series, had to have a good game. And what better start than a first blood on the Spring King from the LPL in his first World Finals.
And you mentioned it already, Chronicler. Xiaohu is a guy that's had a lot of attention from a lot of fans and already starting to silence some of those doubts. But it is very, very early days in this one as we check out the replay. Really good pathing here from Weiwei.
Yeah, this is just great from Weiwei. Just wraps around, you know, did skip that topside scuttle, and I think Faker potentially thought he was actually over on it. Just comes right down, pass immediately there, is not going to be able to get out as Faker committed the flash for that trade earlier on Xiaohu.
And if you think back to the spring final, or summer finals rather, that T1 wasn't able to win, it was in large part because Genji identified if you get Faker off of some of his comfort champions and you put him down early by a lot of repeated jungle attention, it can be a viable way to get an early to mid-game lead against T1. And we've seen that they can struggle in that situation. And particularly with draft like this, you need to win. You can't try and kind of go through the middle, you know, maybe pick up a dragon or two. No, you need to be able to dominate from the get-go.
And Ari Pre-6 is one of those champions that you really can take advantage of. You know, that is why Azir was so key for T1 in their playoff run. And Weiwei, it's interesting to note that it was that first gank in towards mid. You know, he has been so heavily prioritizing these bot side ganks throughout Worlds. In the LPL, it was much more about playing towards the Shy, but at Worlds, it has been about playing towards Chris, playing towards Light. And I really wanted to see what his game plan was going to be coming into Worlds, because clearly T1 would be prepped for that.
Well, and they're going to clear out some vision. As you can see, Control Ward in the Drake pit. First one going to be a Chemtech Drake. And Ona is going to very happily join Carrier as they look to take this one down. So at about 6 minutes into the game, we will have our very first dragon. Faker coming on over, not going to be able to steal anything away, just getting some information here for T1. So they will be able to secure this dragon. So that is one of the steps that they have taken here. Still, they're going to need those big advantages like you guys were talking about in order to make this one work. Looking here towards the bottom side, Gumayusi has a huge advantage over the Tahm Kench, but something that you would expect. It's not necessarily a lane you can really judge on CS.
I mean, you can see it in both top and bot lane, though. You know, these CS differences obviously is the Tahm Kench versus that Kalista, not comparing it with the Senna. But both top and bot, significant CS advantages already here for T1. Mid, slightly favored towards Faker despite the death. They are out-farming their opponents, and that's why they're still up this slight amount of gold despite giving up that first blood.
And this is something Weibo was also able to do. The Shy, specifically against Bin, was able to use the fact that the matchup was isolated to push really heavily for big CS leads and then take those leads into mid-game fights and carry them.
And when we talk about comps that are relying on these early game advantages, one of the ways you can do it is just by stacking dragons. You're playing Kalista, you're going to have bot side pressure. Even if you can't establish a massive gold lead, if you take these early dragons and put the pressure of that soul on your opponents, you circumvent a lot of the weaknesses in hard engage that your composition has. You draw your opponents to you, you force them to challenge you at these dragons where you are going to be set up for that fight, where you are going to be in the advantage.
Well, right now, it is just a bit of trading in lanes. Weiwei going to go home, collect himself a book and a Control Ward, try to get back to it as Chris, the tongue lash. It hurts a whole lot more, I feel like, when you've got him sitting in a lane by himself for quite some time, but he's actually still just level 5, same as everybody else. And Gumayusi still playing aggressively, not able to land too many of these pierces, as Zeus' soul is relatively unbound as he just keeps shoving these waves relentlessly into the Shy's turret. First plate has gone down already here for T1, like you were mentioning, Azale playing into the advantages in gold that is now ticked up to about 500.
And my expectation is that T1 is going to use this top lane prio to secure Herald without too much difficulty. Faker almost will have his flash available. Xiao Hu already has his. But with this Aatrox being perma-pushed in, it should make the setup for T1 around this objective pretty easy. And they have also already rotated over Gumayusi and Carrier. So they're going to secure this. Then my question becomes, where are they going to throw it down? Because the two obvious solutions to me would be either Zeus or Guma. Obviously, Guma already massively far ahead, but a Yone in a side lane, I think, is one of the biggest things that Weibo might not be able to answer.
I agree completely. I think it should go towards Zeus. He already has the push. This is one of these hyper-scaling top laners that he already has the early push. You can harass those towers, harass the Aatrox with the Soul Unbound, and you get him that big gold lead. This guy can make miracles happen in a 5v5. Zeus has been simply incredible throughout the World Championship.
Certainly has. And now Faker is going to dash in, finds the charm onto the Tahm Kench. Faker has to get out of there, though. Can't be snared for the hostile takeover. Gets so much work done. The Devour's in, but the kill's there for Ona. Xiao Hu now going down low as Faker dashes forward once again. But it looks like they'll have to settle for one and a Herald.
And Weibo, they see that T1 is at the Herald. They rotate over, and I think they try to recuperate. But that's sunken cost fallacy because they just walk up. T1 finds the angle, and Weibo give up the Herald and a kill.
Exactly, and maybe going to lose some farm down on bot side as well, because Chris has no TP, but Zeus.
Nature's Grasp comes in, he gets pulled back, he's interrupted from the ultimate. Zeus does get a knock up there and a shield, but I think he's still dead. And there it is, the answering kill from the Shy.
Weibo able to punch back on the top side. You can see Owner hanging around that bottom side, potentially threatening, as Guma and Carrier are going to push it in. Already have taken a plate themselves down there, but great kill back on the top side. Does help to equalize the gold there for the Shy.
Yeah, gold now actually completely fine. The Shy might even be able to pick up plate as well. And crucially, Zeus doesn't have TP, so actually is going to lose out on this wave. Unlike Faker when he was ganked earlier, who just TP back to the lane, not going to be the case here. And that's the second time that Weibo, the initial play might not work, but Weiwei pulls it back.
Exactly. And Zeus just couldn't use that ultimate quite fast enough, you know, so Weiwei was able to get ahead of him, blocks the ulti, and then from that point, Zeus says, you know what, I'm dead either way, so I'm going to hold on to the flash, but that is an unfortunate death for him as he had so much pressure on topside, so much tempo, and a lot of that is going to be lost now, but not lost in the mid lane where Faker has continued to push in, continued this relentless aggression here, despite being that first death.
Yep. Even though he did fall down first up, Faker is pretty good at bouncing back from initial deaths. The global taunt that he's had for the last 10 years seems to be the thing.
The most ganked man of all time.
I think it's probably true, but also he's played like the most games out of anyone else that still plays currently. So it's a weird stat to go towards. Bottom side of the map, we do see a reset coming through here for Gumushi and Keria. Not quite towards the first item yet for the Kalista, which would be pretty important for the next fight coming up. See what they can get for themselves.
Yeah, you see as well already Weibo is moving up. The second Drake I think is really pivotal. There are a lot of good Drakes still available for T1. No Camtech Dragon in particular.
We know exactly what Drake it's going to be. It's T1.
It's Cloud.
It's got to be the Cloud. They've got the most Clouds out of any other team at Worlds.
You don't want them to have Cloud Soul, particularly not with the amount of mobility on the team. So I think that Weibo is going to try and contest here. But T1 still are the ones with control of their pot side. Prio is now being found by Light and Crisp. Herald being placed down just in mid lane to try and pressure Weibo out and get a quick move into the river.
It's going to mean that that Dragon should belong to T1 if they can get control with it. Faker sticking around for the cash. They will be able to gather it here. Orbit Deception going to go wide, and it looks like Faker's not going to stick around for another plate. As Weiwei going for a reset, they're going to give up the second Drake as well.
Yeah, I think there's just no real angle for them to contest from this point. Owner drops the Herald mid, they get Prio there, they reestablish Prio down on that bot side, move up through the river. And with Keria and Guma at such a strong point early on in the game, it is going to be Cloud Soul.
Yeah, it's not a question mark. I did tell you. I informed you. I didn't pose a question.
Well, Atlas, I always want to believe that you're right about dragons. And in case of Clouds, I got to say, you often are.
Yeah. And do you know who was actually the one that told me that my love of Clouds was actually okay? It was Azael. As Crisp is taking some damage here towards the bottom side. It's all right.
I've always been a Cloud believer.
Yeah.
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 Move speed turns out pretty good.
Uh-huh. It's a pretty good stat. And Zeus not going to... he's actually going to utilize some move speed to move out of the Infernal Chains. Look at
nice
that.
Transition.
Proving your point immediately, Azael. You love to see it. Owner is here, though. It's going to be a 2v2. Zeus taking a bit of damage as the Q comes down. There's the ulti. Nature's Grasp, but look at the knockups. The kickback. Weiwei punches him out of it. The Daunting Shadow flies through to help get the kill onto Zeus. It looked good for T1, and Weibo struck back.
And Light saves the play. T1 make the call before Zeus has back to all-in on specifically the Maokai. Just finished his demonic embrace. Weiwei is able to stay alive. Light keeps him there. And a big win for Weibo.
They thought they could punish the missing flash that had been spent as Keria looking for an angle, won't find it. They wanted to be able to burst him down. Faker.
Yeah,
maybe
Everfrost has come through. Foxfire coming down, but they do have to invest the ultimate. Faker now not going to have that for the next play, and that's what Xiaohu wanted.
We'll have to see now. The Shy getting more and more ahead now in that top lane. You know, has taken a couple plates, does have the kill and the assist. Gore Drinker completed, tier 2 boots done. Zeus with that big farm lead is still keeping things relatively even, but both those scraps on the top side have gone Weibo's way.
And again, Weiwei to me has been the crucial factor here. 100% kill participation thus far, able to make sure that T1 doesn't get that momentum. Now, I don't think that T1, particularly with the dragon stacking, is necessarily in grave danger, but this means that the gold stays on parity, that Weibo still gets to scale into that mid to late game, where it can be incredibly impressive to enter as the Shy might be getting ganked.
Yeah, Keria is going to move on up here as Zeus is going to break those chains. Keria is looking for that handshake. Angle is already, the Shy's done a fair bit of damage, but I don't think it is going to be enough as it's Alco Gaming for the Shy, and he will go down. Owner grabs that kill.
Owner, nice kill on the top side. If 2 doesn't work, bring 3. Bring another guy. Keria on the roam up towards top side. Wasn't really expected, I think, to be up there. The Shy thought he was going to be safe, but now dying there with no TP does mean there's going to be a pretty big push. You can see Guma. Of course, you have to compare that with Crisp's goal.
Oh, brings him back in with a twisted advance. The kickback as well as Weiwei gets out the punch, and now Xiaohu coming on in. Owner's going to burn down, and no bailout for you. Light's in a bit of trouble, but the charm is not going to get it done because Crisp is there with the denial with the Devour. And and T1 have to run away. What a play from Weibo.
And continuously, they are getting out skirmished. Weiwei should be able to get the execute here. So nothing given up. And Weibo walk away victorious again.
Weiwei has just had such an incredible journey as a player. You know, this guy first starting on V5, came in with them, played with BLG, and since joining, Weibo has made such a difference with this team, has really transformed the team, has such good pressure in the early stages, and him getting going early always spells good things for this team.
Certainly does. Let's have a look at the play one more time.
And as we look here, initially it looks like T1 wants to back off, but Weiwei goes very far back, but then crucially barely stays alive, right? And with him getting away, there is no bailout value for Owner, and the fact that Faker TP's in doesn't matter because Crisp is standing at the ready with Devour.
Yeah, Crisp is there and Light with some nice little side steps. Don't think the charm would have mattered even if it landed because Crisp was right behind him, but well played on the sidestep nonetheless. T1, though, continually going towards these objectives. They know they need to keep pushing the pace, and Weibo here looking to challenge.
And nice shock blast is going to soften up T1 just a little bit here. 4 versus 3 in this moment, but Faker's wrapping around from the top side of the fight. The Shy pretty far away from this one. And Zeus is moving in, gets over the wall. There's the ult. It's going to be dodged as he gets himself out of there with the Unbound Soul. And T1, they are going to be able to secure the Herald.
Forces the flash from Light, and they get the Herald. Really nicely done from T1. That is what has been going their way all game long.
And now I'm wondering, can T1 also get themselves to this Dragon in time? I think they just have enough time to still get the backs in, make their way, spend their money, and then try and set up this soul point very early on. Because while when it comes to gold, Weibo has been able to stay very relevant, if T1 pick this up, they will have gotten every single objective thus far, and it will at the very least force Weibo to maybe make some tough decisions once Zeus in the sideline becomes hard to deal with, because I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up going for Hullbreaker again.
And this is such an early soul point that they will be moving to. Their third dragon here taken, if they can get it, around 17 and a half minutes into the game. You know, threatening that 22, 23-minute soul would be a really tough spot here for Weibo. So they have to get mid lane control. They have to be able to push this out, then move into the river. They want to be first to the scene. You can see Weiwei trying to keep these saplings down and harass T1 as they try to move in. But in the bot lane, it's Zeus with the push there. And if he can get Pryo down to that bot side, they can potentially set up a flank from multiple angles.
Yep, Owner should be able to put the Herald down here as well to help them get that mid control, get towards that dragon. But you can see Weibo don't want to give up the river right now. Weiwei just standing stalwart. The Shy is going to turn up. Charm is going to connect, but Faker probably not wanting to go in on that one. If you're going to connect from Owner and T1, just keeping up this pressure, allowing Weibo to move into that river, knowing they have Zeus very close to that bottom wave to keep pressure in the lane.
Exactly. Zeus threatened moving up. He went, just did the Gromp. Now he's down back towards that bottom lane, pushing that out. So forcing the response from the Shy. T1 are happy in this stalemate position right now. They still have the Herald to work with. So if Weibo overcommit towards the Dragon, they can just drop Herald mid and guarantee that tier 1.
Carrier's going to miss the handshake, but the Q's going to land from Owner. Weiwei could avoid it with the twisted advance. Owner not going to go in as the Everfrost, it gets the Devour. Gumayushi getting himself out of there and utilizing his ultimate to save Carrier as well, but that is so many cooldowns, and now Weibo have started up the Drake.
Weibo might be looking to go for it. They've also used a number of cooldowns themselves, most notably the Shy and Weiwei's ultimate. We'll see if T1 tries to go for an alternative play, just push mid, but it looks like Weibo isn't even going to give them the opportunity as Owner!
Oh, there's the kick flash out, who's going to be pushed into Faker the flash forward, but the Charm is going to miss.
What?
The Pierce doesn't land, and Shadow just walks it off. No worries there at all as Crisp is under the turret. They throw down Herald, but Zeus has found 2 with the ultimate. Light goes down so low, but isn't going to survive. Weiwei trying to get himself out of there, and the Shy is given up on. Weiwei running the wrong direction, but they at least get the Dragon.
Weibo get the Dragon, but T1 get the kill. Shahu lucky to get out of that one, but Weiwei, he's going home in the body bag.
That is the final kill there from Owner. And that is the first fight that T1 have won, but they've lost that dragon stacking that you were talking about earlier, Chronicler. And so we'll see whether they can grab that next one and keep this level of pressure up, because 2.3 thousand gold, is that enough of a lead for this early game composition?
And there is a reason why Owner's lead has been fared. And the funniest part to me is this play doesn't even matter, because Xiao actually is able to walk it up. Another miraculous survival. Faker doesn't get the chase because of Crisp, but then it's Zeus who got put down in lane that makes the hero play.
Exactly, comes in on the other side. There's no Devour because Crisp is over saving his mid laner, trying to defend there. So Light is left vulnerable, and Light is punished big time. T1 getting that major gold injection in. And you can see a lot of these towers that they've been pressing. If you look on live, Faker taking down that top tier 1. A lot of these turrets have been getting lower and lower from this T1 lane dominance.
Yeah, you can see there's a lot of relief on Tom's face there as well. Hoping that T1 can get this mid-game sorted out. Owner stealing away some Raptors. Full vision given over to Weibo. 3.5 minutes on the clock when it comes to the Drake, as in goes Zeus. Xiaohu just boops him away, and Owner is going to come through as well. Xiaohu in still a lot of trouble. Safeguard comes in, Xiaohu moving away from the Lee Sin to the skies, comes down. The Devourer is there, it was Crisp coming forward, and he saves his mid laner, but that is a lot invested.
That's the problem, is that even though Xiaohu makes it out alive, Crisp uses TP, and they're not even going to be able to save the turret. So even though Zeus isn't able to actually clip Xiaohu, he sidesteps the ultimate, it's still a big win, and the Hull Breaker is in fact done, and it makes him such a menace in the side lane.
Exactly, it's incredibly difficult to deal with him. They become incredibly tanky, and one of the most underrated parts about this is how tanky it actually makes the cannon minions. They become very difficult to actually wave clear out. It allows you to harass your opponent, but Guma
could be in a bit of trouble here as Crisp looks for it. The immediate cleanse does get out of the way. Nature's Grasp isn't going to connect, but there is the twisted advance. Hostile takeover across everyone though, but the Shy is just gigantic. Guma trying to hop away. The Fates call the knockups, and meanwhile Weiwei is going down. Faker collects it before falling down. Crisp has to go though because he's so incredibly low, and Zeus is tearing them to shreds. Weibo lying on the floor now as T1 look to tidy up Crisp, and they won that team fight even better than the last.
Guma refuses to go down. Keria saves him, coming in with the hostile takeover at T1. They're on the Baron.
And it's Renata that does it again. Keria standing at the ready, keeps Guma alive throughout all of it. And T1, the goal before this was even. Weibo picked up the dragon, but after this fight, multiple kills going over the T1. Baron secured. And it looks like the first grade might have been broken open. The early game comp getting it done.
And here is the replay. We'll see how it all started. It looked like a pick on Gumayushi.
It did, but it just took them so long to actually get to him. You can see everyone from T1 is coming as fast as they possibly can. And all the time that was bought here by Guma allows them to arrive, allows the hostile takeover here, hitting across multiple members. Light is forced to even flash out, just trying to avoid it, but Owner knocks him down. Guma dances out, using that ultimate with Keria's help to peel him off.
And we're seeing one of the big issues with the Senna is that if you're playing a front to back, Senna feels almost impossible to deal with. Particularly with Kench, it's really hard to take people down, to get through the front line. The kite back's amazing, but if you get caught, particularly by something like a Lee, you don't get to play the game.
And also, they weren't playing front-to-back League of Legends. It was a split
Exactly.
fight entirely, with the fact that the Shy goes in, is in the middle, and it felt fantastic, right? It was a bit of a split there from Weibo with their decision-making moving forward. It could mean that they could adjust that moving into the next team fight and really show what this composition can do.
And the tough thing for Weibo is it felt like so many things did go well for them in the early stages. Those skirmishes were working for them, but when T1 hit way harder. And they have gotten so much out of these last couple plays. They're going to try to take a tier 1 top, but Faker's looking for an engaged bot.
Yeah, looking for even more. Everfrost is going to land. Somehow that charm didn't connect, but it is still going to gather a Devour from over the wall from Crisp. T1 will settle for this inner turret.
And this is where the earlier Drake from Weibo is going to feel like a miracle in the sky. Right? If they didn't have that, would be just a soul point in addition to all the turrets that are there for T1. Now, sure, they're not going to have the soul. You still have 5 minutes of time. It's not looking great, but at the very least, they'll have one more opportunity to try and get something going. My main issue is, particularly with Zeus now completely back in the game and sitting on a pretty ludicrous gold advantage, 3K in the sideline is going to be untouched.
I mean, even in the team play, he just finished an IE. He's got 3 full items now. The Shy just finishes Derek's second. And when you have the IE in, you can talk about not wanting team fight with a Hullbreaker, but when you've got an IE and a Kraken, you can one-hit the back line. This becomes incredibly hard to actually fight against this guy. So if T1 can execute on those 5v5s, as they have been doing all tournament long, we saw it showcased against JDG, against the world's best in that 5v5 stage, then it's going to be tough for Weibo. Look at Keria.
Yeah, Zeus dancing forward, but like you say, Keria lurking in the sidelines. Weibo just trying to deal with these minion waves, not wanting to give up more than they can afford to lose. T1 just going to gather themselves a little bit of extra standing gold in a turret. Not exactly the end of the world, but it's all just more money here for the coffers of T1. These shock blasts starting to land a little bit. Lands onto Faker there, but they're going to need more of those if they want to stop the pressure.
The shock blasts do hurt, but T1 is just playing so intelligently around this. They drop that pink ward mid. Zeus playing very far back because no one's answering top. You know, as T1, the only recourse in this game Weibo have is to overload one side of the map, get a 3v1, get a 2v1, get a pick kill, then attack the rest of the T1 squad. So until they show top, there's no reason for Zeus to walk up. He just plays it so far back, plays it calm, cool, and collected, and allows his team to get those incremental advantages up in top lane.
And this has now turned into an 8,000 gold lead. The Rebel Baron power play just kind of gigantic, given the fact that it was relatively close for a lot of this game. It's how T1 do really like to break open games, especially in the past when they were at their most dominant. Definitely a good sign if you are a T1 fan. And Weibo well and truly on the ropes here at this stage of the game.
And for Weibo now, you're gonna either have to have someone on T1 overextend, like you were saying, Azil. I do think it has to be someone else, because killing Zeus when he has Flash, Hullbreaker, and IE is going to be such an incredibly difficult task. But then look at what the rest of T1 is doing. No one is actually segmenting themselves off from the rest. They're always working in tandem.
Exactly. You know you win the 4v4 and you win the 1v1, so as long as you have eyes on Weibo, you are chilling. You just have to make sure you're not getting poked out too heavily. As it's going to be up to Xiaohu.
Faker waiting over the wall, wants to land that charm to start this fight potentially, but no. Weibo just back away, not wanting to take a fight unless it is far more within their favor and with more information. And that is a very difficult thing to gather here in this game. You talk about saplings, things like that, all these opportunities. If you can't walk out of your base, they don't do a whole lot of good.
It does get very difficult. At the very least, you can use that to clear out brushes, to move forward, try to reclaim some vision, as they're going to do now. Knowing that T1 is on the reset, they will try to deny some of this vision, but the death cap is going to be here soon for Faker. You can see Wit's End going to be pretty soon as well for Guma. These third items are going to be coming through when the GA comes in for Owner as well. T1 are just trying to get as prepared as possible for the Soul or for this Baron, where they are really going to look to dominate.
And really nicely done, shown by our observers here, is how little Weibo know. Well, obviously they have a suspicion that T1 is going to be somewhere in the jungle and they can scout with saplings, but actually retaking control becomes incredibly difficult. And right now, it's still fine, but in 40 seconds, the Baron is coming up and Weibo will be faced with one of two choices. Either you just try to hard force your way in and like flash engage with Weiwei onto someone of T1, but if they don't give you that opportunity, you're gonna have to try and fight up a straight fight.
And one of the biggest problems with that is when you're approaching Baron from blue side, you're setting up for a perfect carry ultimate, right? You know, you all try to flash in, try to go for that engage. If you're trying to follow up on Weiwei's play, there's gonna be a hostile takeover coming through your entire team. So the difficulty is extremely high for Weibo from this position.
Also really difficult to lock down Zeus is if he's only trading with that Unbound Soul available. You can see Xiaohu comes down. That gives T1 the idea. If there are two invested towards that bottom side, that pressure from Zeus pretty clearly illustrated in that moment.
And look at the item spikes. Wits End done for Guma. No death cap for Faker. GA for Owner. And on Weibo's side, 2 item power spikes have been hit, but don't know if that's going to be enough. Xiaohu, though, does have his Cyrildas done. Maybe that can give them the poke they need to contest this Baron, but it looks like it just isn't sticking.
I mean, it feels like it's just basically all up to Xiaohu from this position. He needs to be able to hit Shock Blast on key members that can't heal them up, which is basically just Faker.
Yeah, Owner going aggressive. There's the kick flash once again. Weiwei's going to flash to his advance to get himself back. There's the Nature's Grasp as well, as Owner's going to have to get out of there. Safeguard is enough of a shield. The Dawning Shadow not quite there with the damage. And T1, they tried something. They're not going to get any kills, but they get the flash from the jungler.
And T1 don't even have to give up Owner's GA, right? He could play that aggressive knowing that he still has his GA available as, oh, he might have a flank here.
Oh, Carrier. Okay, looking for that angle as Xiaohu.
I think they might know.
Going to face check.
Oh,
they
know.
just saw him hop out of the brush. Not quite sneaky enough. The Shock Blast comes in eventually, but that is going to put enough fear into Weibo. And Zeus, yeah, like 3 hits in this Cloud Drake. Yeah.
I mean, he is just going to kill that thing so fast. They're going to start Baron at the same time. They're just going to start it up. I think at this point, T1 feel that they can do everything at once. And Weibo, you've got to make a stand now. There's just no way from this position you can give up a free Baron.
Well, Weiwei is in the vicinity, but the rest of the team is still making their way over. The Shy does have teleport, but they have no information. They have no vision. This Baron is gone.
They just can't walk up. There's not really anything you can do.
Yeah, looking for the angle. It's not exactly behind Xiaohu, but he's pretty fast. As Xiaohu's going to avoid the charm for now. Shock Blast connects onto Faker there as well. He's still going to look for that reset angle, and now with the Baron buff in tow, T1 feel like they don't need a reset to try and break open the base of Weibo here in Game 1 of the finals. Nature's Grasp flying forward. Ona still has that GA. Remember, Chris going down so incredibly low. Zeus just executes the Chai up to the side, and there is another one. This guy's Yone is just absurd. And the inhibitor's going to go down. Weiwei is burning there as well, as now Xiaohu tries to be the hero, but it does not work out. And I think T1 are just going to end Game 1 here.
And the early game, T1 not able to get a bunch of crucial kills, but they don't let it phase them. They are able to find the one skirmish they're looking for, take the Baron, and from that point on, Weibo doesn't get to fight back.
And now 1-0 here in the World Final. T1 on the red side as well, going to be able to walk away victorious. It was an early game composition and it was executed very well, but I felt like there were angles for Weibo to go back and try and retcon and figure it out for Game 2.
I mean, it's tough, right? Weibo.
And as the last ban comes in, gentlemen, what do we expect to change other than the bans that haven't really?
Well, there's your first answer. Kalista going to be picked up here. The Ashe was banned out earlier this time around, so now the question is, does Maokai Jace go to T1? Are they going to be interested in taking that? Rel was actually passed over. It's such a big one for Owner. There is obviously answers that they could go towards, like the Senna-type lanes, like some of those aggressive lanes that we've seen with Caitlyn and Varus as well.
Also wondering if they want to pick up the Aatrox here or go for the counter pick again. Zeus was such a big part of what made the previous game work, and the Renata pickup is a no-brainer that has to be taken away to both deny Crisp, the champion I think he's looked the most impressive on, as well as deny specific that Kalista-Renata combo that has been so successful. Even so at last game, even with the laning phase, they got a slight lead, but it wasn't like they completely blew out the lane. But in mid-game skirmishes, playing against it becomes incredibly hard. And we'll see what other answer is going to get picked up here. Personally, I would love to see Owner on his Rel, try to pick it up maybe in rotation. And this is Guma Yushi's Draven, a champion that he debuted on as well. Extremely aggressive and really strong into the Kalista.
This is one of the many problems you have about dealing with T1 on red side. You go for Kalista first pick, something that does have a lot of lane power. One of the only ADs that can really fight fire with fire down there is the Draven. I would like the Senna again, though. I think for Crisp, it's a strong laner. We've seen this actually work pretty well in the past also, but this is a tough lane to deal with, and have to see if Crisp is confident to go for it.
It is going to be locked in here, so the final pick on the blue side here rests in Xiaohu's hands. Could be full Shadow Isles with a Maokai lock in here, but I don't know whether you're necessarily super excited about seeing a Maokai. We'll see where Xiaohu is going to go. I kind of expect a jungler just to keep these solo lanes a little bit more up in the air, unless they just want to grab the Aatrox and make sure that can't be banned away. But no, it is going to be the 3-piece Shadow Isles with the Maokai lock.
And specifically, Weiwei obviously had an amazing game. It wasn't enough, but his early ganks were really good. And if the team didn't fall behind the way that they did, might have been able to set up objectives the way we've seen Maokai do really since last year at Worlds. Champion has been around for a while now. Now, T1 can either try and secure Owner his Rel if he wants to go in that direction. Poppy's another that we know he loves, and Poppy into Kalista specifically, I think, is a really good angle.
Sylas, also a good option. It's available for Faker this time, and anytime Maokai's there, it's really, really strong to be able to have that counter engage. You basically just have the more powerful version of that ultimate. Senna ult has some value for cross-map as well, so definitely a strong angle, and also a pretty good denial pick for some of the things that you might expect them to go towards.
And also, it does mean that T1 is now forced to ban away. Blind Sylas can obviously be punished. The Jace, I think Zhao actually had a great game on the Jace last time around. They were able to play around, and these new just didn't really end up mattering when we got to the fights. But T1 going to try and make sure that Faker does actually get through the lane. Last time around, we saw Weibo target Owner, and I think they're going to try again. Even though it didn't work out, his league was still incredible. Poppy and Rel, to me, are no-brain bans here.
Yep, the Sejuani will still be up and available, though, and Permafrost value alongside a Sylas in the mid lane can definitely be very, very scary, augmented by Zeus picking up something pretty strong, bruisery on the top side.
Exactly, and almost guaranteed you think Zeus is going to play one of those types of champions. Is going to be an Aatrox or Ione or something along those lines. That could be a strong pairing, so It's tough. I am almost more afraid of the Sejuani from this point, even though I associate owners much more with the Rel.
Pick your poison, and they said no. We'd prefer not to. That can be up to owner if he would like, and so we'll see whether it is going to be the Rel or the Sejuani.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting choice. I mean, I think if they go Sejuani here, they're going towards double melee pairings, but instead it's going to be the Nocturne. So denying some of the ability, I think, of the Shy to play through side lanes. Potentially, you're worried about some sort of side lane picks, some ability to 1-3-1. This really makes that difficult. And it also, if you have a flanking pick coming in from Zeus, some sort of a dive buddy there alongside Faker and an Owner, it could be really tough because you can turn off the lights, throw the stolen Maokai ult, and then potentially have Zeus coming in on the flank.
And for Weibo, I think one of the consistent issues is that you want to try and get a strong bot lane, which they did, even though obviously the Renata and the Draven are quite strong. But it means that then you have to deal with Zeus getting counter pick, right? And Zeus, his Yone has been taken away. We'll see what else he can bring out against the Aatrox here, as Zhao Hu have, of course, been a large number of mid bans already. Is actually going to go for the Ahri here.
Yeah, so the Ahri is going to be locked in. Is that an insta-lock? Okay, there we go. So the Gwen going to be locked in here for Zeus. Something that has been picked into him in the past, but I won't talk about it too much. If you are a T1 fan, I imagine that is definitely going to cause some pain. But this is really, really fun. Zeus really fighting fire with fire there towards that top side once again into the Shy's Aatrox.
It's going to be interesting. We haven't really seen Gwen do that well at Worlds, to be honest, because it's one of these picks that takes a long time to turn online. And I feel we've even seen Zeus play the opposite in this matchup, where he's going for the lethality build on Aatrox and really kind of has earlier and more powerful power spikes, because this Gwen is going to need a couple items before you really start to outshine what the Aatrox can do. That being said, if they can get to that point, T1 has an incredible 1-3-1. They really can attack those side lanes so heavily with the Nocturne as well. And you do have that flanking top laner that I was talking about as the final piece, stolen Maokai ult. You have the hostile takeover. You have the Nocturne ult. You have a flanking Gwen. All of this being thrown at you with the lights turned off is so hard to deal with.
And my expectation as well is that with a lot of attention should go again towards the bot lane, we'll see how the Shy can recuperate after a pretty rough game one.
Exactly right, but fist bumps have come out between our coaches. It is time to get onto the Rift for game number 2. There is match point on the line for T1, and Weibo could bring us to a best of 3 here at Worlds 2023. And I think everyone is aligned in just wanting as many games as possible here in this final. The last couple of years have been pretty good as far as games in the finals are concerned. And so hopefully they can bring us to one of those, even if it could bring some heart attacks here to the Gochok Skydome. I imagine that it could be a difficult time.
Yeah, since 2018, it's only gotten better, right? We got 2 free zeros, that's not so great, a free 1, and then back-to-back free 2s.
Yeah.
And those are the most fun and stressful.
Certainly the most stressful and the most fun. Chronically, you're exactly right. And here we are into game number 2. Weibo gathering up towards this bottom side. And T1 not going to be walking too close to where all 5 members were positioned. So nothing to worry about too much. And you guys can remember, you can log into your Riot account on lolesports.com and watch Worlds live to earn exclusive Worlds emotes and icons. And we'll see whether Weibo or T1 are going to be flexing any of those here in the game.
And you can see that side lane ward here from Weibo trying to maintain side lane advantage. They have to be winning out in this 2v2. They need to utilize that Callista to be the one stacking dragons, much like T1 did last time. But T1 did take the time. Zeus went in, got that deep ward, so then I have full info on where Weiwei is going to be starting. Is going to be looking for this top towards bot clear, because it's going to be this classic Weibo playstyle that we have seen so much of at Worlds. Focus towards bot with the Callista. You have to have it.
Also have both junglers pathing towards the bot side of the map, but obviously Weiwei going to be way stronger early on owner, mainly looking to cover in case they do see Weiwei show up in the bot side. Do note that they do have a ward on his blue, so the T1 bot lane is very aware as, the bot
flash
lane
already out from Gumayushi. His light's relatively low as well, but that is definitely a trade that goes incredibly well here for Weibo. Zeus also taking a fair bit of damage towards this top side. Weibo Gaming, they are not backing down yet.
Yeah, it's getting spicy here early on. Chris trades out his heal, but they get the flash off Guma, the ignite off Keria. Light pretty low as well, but they can just push this in, potentially look to reset, and maybe if Weiwei is coming down here, set themselves up in a great position. But look at Owner looking for this wraparound here. Xiaohu likely can walk it out, but we'll see if he's forced to use the summoner.
He's level 2, so doesn't have it. There's the flash chain. That is going to get the flash out from Xiaohu. Zona is going to back away. Will have his spell shield available. Not going to be too worried about any charms or anything like that.
It is kind of a repeat of what happened in mid lane last time, though, and then Faker was the one punished by Weiwei with that missing summoner, so we'll have to see if Weiwei can get around mid lane and help Xiaohu out again.
Big difference this time around is that Owner doesn't actually have Prio in his bot side. Last time, could go very aggressive because of Zeus having the Prio. Not going to be the case here, and you see as well, he wants to harass, but he needs to respect that Light and Crisp have shoved in that ball wave and can rotate over at any moment's notice, and falling behind with your Nocturne early can be a bit rough.
Exactly, and Owner spent the time to do that, so he's only completed the 3 camps. Weiwei is about 2 full camps ahead now at this point, as he's going to finish up the Gromp before the Wolves are completed there, so we'll have a little bit more tempo on the map. Light just going to take this early recall here as they've bounced the wave on bot side. Crisp making sure there's no sort of a freeze going on, because Guma had to take a super early base and a horrible buy, as all he was able to get was the refillable on that first base. So Guma's going to be in a pretty tough spot when you compare with what Light has on the other side.
Yeah, it looks like Light pretty happy to go towards the Callista that was so incredibly effective for T1 in the last game. And once again, it's a composition from T1 that, like we've been talking about, does want to have these advantages around the map, does want to get towards these Drakes, trying to play for these side lanes, because if you don't have that tempo advantage, things can go wrong. As the Shy does take a bit of damage here from Zeus, but just some biffo back and forth between the 2 top laners, and both of these champions having a fair bit of sustain.
That's
so
a good,
should be all right.
Yeah, good adaptation as well from Weibo. Instead of opting into Sylas ban, they make sure that the Ashe is taken away. I think Ashe in particular can make any Callista lane really hard to play out. And by making sure that you also deny it to Guma and Carrier, who can flex it. Don't know if they actually want to opt into that, but have done it, of course, in the past. Secure yourself a good early matchup. And we'll see if they're able to push it further, particularly if you can get an early kill on the Draven. Could be big as Weiwei.
Yeah, Ward is here as well. Zeus going to be ghosting immediately. There's a twisted advance. Zeus does create some space though on the Bramble Smash, pushes him closer to home. He will have to go back, and now with the Ghost on cooldown, a little bit more susceptible to those ganks.
And nicely timed on the skip and slash there from Zeus. Pops the Ghost early, has the E buffered as the twisted advance comes through. So he ends up on the opposite side of Weiwei, so the Bramble Smash can't knock him back, and now Owner on the invade here, trying to put on some pressure again.
Oh, that's a really high value vision cone there for Weiwei. Spots both the ward and Owner.
And look at the pickaxe advantage. So there's no way that Weiwei can fight. He hasn't based yet. Owner did go back to base, has that additional AD, and Weiwei knows he can't win that.
Yeah, and the whole time, Faker is backing towards that top side as well, and so they know they can't go and contest that Gromp. It should mean that Owner can collect himself this Wolf Camp as well. So the advantages in the jungle are continuing to blossom here for T1, but on the bottom side of the map, Light's still holding that advantage.
Yeah, it's big there for T1 though, because it turns what was a really rough play, a gank towards Zeus, into a really big win. He immediately teleports back, is able to get Prio. The Shy hasn't had a window yet, and they use that to get Owner faster to his level 6, with him now having a CS lead.
And something we haven't talked about at all, it's going to be AD Ahri, because he is playing Fleet Footwork and he has the Kerchi's Shard. So
oh, yeah.
I think it is going to be Static Shiver. I think this is going to be AD Ahri. We've seen quite a lot of this online. This is kind of the new evolution of what we were seeing with AD LeBlanc and that sort of style. I'm not sure if he is going to go like full on AD on hit, or more just that similar build where you go Shiv into Lichbane and play the Night Harvester as well. That's the most common one I've been seeing online. But obviously trying to be able to side lane and trying to be able to kind of slam home an advantage here as this range versus melee matchup into Faker. So it's a very different style of Ahri than we just saw, and I'm excited to see it because I think this is the first pro game that I can recall seeing it in.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet either. So interested to see what Xiaohu is going to be able to get done on this version of the Ahri. And I have to have a feel that the Ahri AD variety should be better in lane against Faker as well. Don't really need to land as many spells if you just right-click people. I like that idea. But Weibo going to be able to grab themselves the first Drake. Should mean the scuttle here as well from Weiwei is getting double duty done. They are going to be able to grab this off the back of their very, very, very supreme control of this bottom lane.
Yeah, this all goes back to the level 1. Light and Crisp playing it out early on very, very well. And one of the things that we haven't really talked about yet that the Draven can struggle with is not having a jungler that can enable you. As I say, that Owner is in top.
Yeah, Zeus dashing forward. The needlework is out. Snip, snip. Going to connect, but doesn't do too much. And in goes Owner. The flash out was incredible from the Shy already gets taken down to, oh my goodness, about 1 health, but will be able to walk away. But I don't think he's going to be excited about ganking the Shy anytime soon. Although Zeus is just going to go! That is just not fair.
That is the Shy encapsulated the massive outplay into the overstay. He has the 1v2. He likes his odds in the 1v1, and that is such a costly death because he has no TP, gives up first blood with 2 stacked waves at his tower. That is catastrophic for Weibo's chances.
Unfair.
That is it. So initially he outplays it, gets the Q while dashing back, denies the fair, and then he goes back in. Not only is it Zeus getting a kill, which in this snowbally matchup is extremely rough, but it also means that Owner's first ult was a success. The first ult on Nocturne is so big. He gets his early Ultimate Hunter stack, he gets a ton of assist golds, and that was an unforced error.
Yeah, I mean, he eat in, right? You could just stay at your tower and farm it up. He didn't want to lose the wave, but he's the one who goes aggressive. Now he's going to get zoned off the bot wave, so T1 punishing so heavily here.
Yeah, the flash forward from Carrier finds the handshake this time. The Infernal Chains come in, he's lit on fire, he's feared, and Gumayushi cashes in.
It's the Shy getting way down in this game now as Weibo have their bot lane up top. Zeus will not be an easy dive here. He is healthy and he's got the ultimate back. They're going to look for it though.
Yeah, we'll see what he can get done here. The flash twisted advance comes in, and now Zeus just trying to do what he can to stay alive. It's working! And he's going to be able to dash back towards the minions. Now Faker turns up. He's got his own Nature's Grasp, but Xiaohu is going to join this one, and Zeus is running the wrong direction. We'll see how much time he's going to be able to buy here, because maybe this is an execute as he heads toward the turret, and there it is.
Oh my god, everything is going T1's way. It's the Shy. Now shows up in his third lane. Top lane didn't work, bot lane's not working. Hey, let's check out mid lane.
Worked out a little bit better here. As you can see, Owner walks away with half of his health bar. The Shy able to win out in that one. But man, that was a lot of things that happened. Chronicler, break it down for us.
And it is Weibo opting in when they've already gotten the win, trying to get too much out of the play, because yes, Guma gets a kill. The early cash in for the Draven is really rough with the Shy going down, but they got the Herald. They can play it a little bit slower, try to zone away Zeus, and then crash the Herald, get a ton of plates into light, and then try to play from there. But they try to get more, and it backfires.
And I think they're feeling a little bit of that sense of desperation. You lose game 1, things start going bad in game 2. You feel that you need to get even more. But T1 in such an incredible spot here now, and that kill for the Draven was so critical because Draven from behind is such a weak champion, but when you're able to snowball, it can really be a different story. And he's now 300-400 gold ahead of his opponent.
Yep, exactly right. And okay, Faker diving in here towards Xiaohu, of course. This is our featured matchup, thanks to Mercedes-Benz. And some scuffle, but not too much more than that. We are just going to back away. So I got a little bit overexcited. That is fine. Carrier going to be snared here for a moment. It's Gumayushi down here, like you say, with that extra money. But his Draven didn't work out for him. Last time he played it, of course, in the finals against Gen G. Hasn't played it this tournament yet, though, and this is one of his favorites.
And next comes the setup for the Ocean Drake. Weibo already picked one up early, and with the Kalista, I really want to try and opt into this. We haven't really talked about the scaling aspect between these two teams. I think that both teams have some parts that feel like they scale really well, particularly the Senna, and I think that Maokai remains very high in value just by the virtue of his ultimate. But on the flip side, particularly with Zeus already getting ahead and Owner starting to stack his Ultimate Hunter, if Weibo don't snowball objectives early, I think it's going to be such a nightmare trying to play into this T1, because they can get so much in the side, and collapsing becomes really hard because of the Nocturne.
And the build from Xiaohu, I'm finding a little bit confusing because, he did start with the Kerchi Shard, and now he's going into what looks like a Liandry's here.
So it looked like instead we've backed off like 5 patches or something.
I think we've seen this before. It reminds me of what Showmaker used to do. I think it was LeBlanc. It might have been Ari versus Galio, where you go fleet and early AD just to have an extra edge in lane. Yeah. But it is a lot of gold that you invest, and as we can see, Faker, not even taking into account first strike gold, has been able to stay on parity on the Sylas.
Absolutely, and it's going to make it that much more difficult when you're talking about in the 5v5s, dealing with Guma and dealing with some of these champions in the backline that he's going to be trying to burst down. That job becomes that much harder when you don't have the extra electrocute damage, when you don't have that early mythic completion. But it is going to be Weibo taking the second dragon here. We know it's not going to be a Chemtech soul, so it should be a good one.
Yeah, and it's also going to be a teleport in. T1 not wanting to give this one up as Faker turns up. Nature's Grasp going to guarantee the Dragon to hostile takeover, chasing Weiwei, but just dissipates before it gets there. Once again, it's going to be a Cloud Soul. Love to see it. I could imagine that Weiwei is pretty upset about that. But remember, we're taking the Drake for Water's sake. And there's a fight towards this top side. The Shy, taken down to about 50% health. He's trying to avoid the potential needlework. There were none more remaining, and Zeus is going to back away. But remember, we've teamed up with Amazon Web Services for a new campaign called Take the Drake for Water's Sake. For every Ocean Drake taken, AWS will make a donation to water.org. That Drake was the 47th Ocean Drake slain since Worlds 2023 Swiss stage.
And we can have it both ways. We get the Ocean Drake and still a Cloud Soul.
I know, isn't it glorious?
It's beautiful.
It's absolutely fantastic. We've washed off the Chemtech with the Ocean. And then it's now windy.
Now we're enjoying ourselves in the breeze.
Oh, it's just fantastic.
Well, and Zeus from this far ahead of the Shy, Cloud Soul would be terrifying if he's going to be able to get that. It's actually so good on Gwen. Weibo are pushing heavily on bot side. If the Shy walks up, he could just be dead again.
Everfrost gets the slow. Chain Lash is going to come down as well. Faker doing a fair bit of damage. Did invest his stolen ultimate there. I believe it was probably timing out relatively soon. Trying to get some value as in goes Owner. Finds the Paranoia, but you can see the Shy is going to be all right. He even gets a cheeky little shield there with the Dawning Shadow Light, not wanting to leave it up to chance.
I mean, this Aatrox is going to have such a tough time. He is going for the lethality build, and he's doing it from very far behind. You know, closing in on 40 CS deficit. He is going to be obviously able to pick up some of this to even that out a little bit, but the additional kill is also in Zeus' pocket. And this is a matchup where, as the Gwen, when you get through those earlier stages, you can outscale. When you're getting towards multiple items, it just kind of gets better for you. So the Shy is going to have to turn in an incredible performance, and we can see it in the MasterCard lane economy snapshot. It is heavily favored towards Zeus, who had a really good game one and is set up for success here in game two.
And I tell you what, if you're a Zeus fan, you're feeling absolutely fantastic that he's having this kind of performance in a final. Because these have been the times where he has crumbled in the past, and so far it's been back-to-back games where he is the guy.
And this has been the story for this T1 roster. You know, they have been so close so many times. 4 times they have lost in an international game 5 and not been able to claim that big title they've been chasing, but Zeus showing up so far.
Yep, another teleport to come in here as they do manage to secure this Rift Herald. We'll see whether Weibo can get themselves out of here. Light going to be hostile takeovered, but he's the only one, and now Zeus looking for the target. Faker dives in though as well. He's going to collect the first with the help of Owner. The Shy goes down, the rest of Weibo will scatter, but they do get the objective and only lose 1 for now.
And Weibo gonna be happy that they, at the very least, they did get the Herald, but they did have to invest a lot. Teleport used by T1, but outside of that, and Gumayusi's clans not too much look on the other end. No flash for Weiwei, no flash for Light. Those are going to be big cooldowns in the possible fight for Soul Point that I think Weibo was going to be looking for in about 2 minutes.
That stolen Maokai from Faker got incredible value. Weibo was kind of panicking. They had to make a run for it here. And Weibo are able to secure it, but it's Faker on such a good angle, coming in from the top of your screen, able to find this stolen Maokai ult. Weiwei uses his to just try to disengage the hostile takeover, but look at the angle here from Faker. Everyone from Weibo sent packing. They're trying to line up to avoid it, but the flashes have to be used.
And that is with Zhao, who doing so much heavy lifting. Keeps Keria and Guma out of the fight. Keria was also unable to hit anyone, and he's giving me really big barrel energy with the amount of things that haven't been able to hit. But even with that, because Zeus is already accelerated and Owner and Faker are there with him, T1 is still able to push their lead aggressively and get more gold onto their carries.
And similar to how we saw last game, Zeus building, he's building more towards that side lane. He's going to be going for Nashor's second. It's not going to be Cosmic. It's not going to be Zonia. It's about that 5v5 straight up. So this is going to give him so much power in those side lanes. They have Owner behind him, and they're going to continue pressuring these side lanes constantly. When you're winning that 1v1 heavily, as long as Owner is there to back you up, you're never going to lose the 2v2.
Oh, this is so difficult. Dustbringer is going to connect. They do have to use the ulti, and that is going to do it. Dawning Shadow does fly forward there as well. And once again, they just have to get out. And I believe, did Owner even use the ultimate?
No, and that's going to be the fight for T1 looking way better, right? 25 seconds till the Drake spawns, and now Crisp doesn't have his ultimate, and neither does Xiaohu.
It's going to be really tough, and the flashes aren't going to be up either. You look at Light, he's not going to have his flash. He doesn't even have his cleanse yet. this feels like a really tough one for them to fight, and Zeus is going to be able to knock down this turret on the bot side to get even more gold in their pockets prior to it.
Snip, 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 and down goes the turret. That is the first one of the game. He is looking completely unanswerable. He is so far ahead in the majority of metrics right now, as the Rift Herald is going to park itself in the mid lane. Immediately, that turret bot lane should be answered, and there goes the charge. So T1 are going to lose one, and the more important one, you'd have to say. But still, I mean, who's going to do stuff about this? The lady
no
with the
one. And
scissors.
it's also Zeus getting that turret, the nice first turret, which would be some much needed gold for Weibo. Now they're going to try and contest the Drake with very little vision.
Well, Zeus on a flank
They have to
angle
know.
here as well. Crisp going to be spotted, but he does put that ward down. That is going to get there. The Drake going down very, very low, and now the paranoia comes in. Faker looks for the Spirit Rush, and he does find it. The hostile takeover is massive as they get rid of Light immediately. Weiwei taken down for the double kill for Owner. Xiaohu now trying to get some damage in the back end. It does take down the Nocturne, but it's Chris fighting on the bottom side of the map, and Gumayuchi is going to cash in once again, and T1 wipe the fight.
And it's T1 winning everywhere. The fight breaks down into multiple skirmishes, and they outplay, they outfight, they get all the kills. It is 7-1. They're going to take the Dragon, the only thing that was working for Weibo in this game.
And it's, again, I think that sense of desperation. They don't have a great vision set up. They don't know from which angles T1 are going to be coming. And Owner has his ultimate available. And there are a couple of key ultimates that aren't there, right? You don't have the Maokai ult, rather the Senna ult. And that's such a big defensive cooldown.
And again, look how they orchestrate this. Faker comes in from the top. Owner turns off the light. The hostile takeover comes across everything all at once. And it's so difficult for Weibo to be able to effectively communicate how to play out this team fight. So everyone scatters. They're all flashing, every man for themselves. And when you go into that kind of fight against T1 with this composition, you are sure to always lose.
And I tell you what, I'm really enjoying the use of the paranoia as well as the hostile takeover, because something that has been difficult for a lot of our Renata players to deal with is getting in the right positions to get that ultimate off without as much notice, right? Because it's relatively telegraphed. But if the lights are all off and then this wave comes across you, it's not a lot of reaction time to deal with that if everything else is going on as well.
Additionally, Guma was able to pick up another kill. So this Draven is by no means the main carry of T1, but now Zeus is fed, Guma is fed, and Owner is fed. So they might get a catch here, not going to find carry-out, but there's so much that you need to deal with.
Exactly right. And just quickly, win probability powered by AWS definitely starting to trend towards T1 in this game. 7-1 in kills, but at the beginning of the game, you could see there on the graph, Weibo was certainly getting themselves into decent positions. We'll see whether they can claw some of that back. It is only a 4,000 gold lead here for T1 so far. Definitely surmountable.
And while we haven't talked as much about this Draven, and you said it, he's been getting these kills, he's actually the richest member on T1. He's the richest person in the game now at this point, which is kind of crazy. After how badly this early game started, he has been cashing in, and Weibo trying to start something here.
Here's another one, the Nature's Grasp. They all line up behind, but it's a decent charm to come through their hostile takeover for some phenomenal disengage, and it looks like T1, they don't want to deal with it. Faker dashes over the wall. Remember, they don't have a turret here. The charm is going to split them. Carrier tries to get it. He goes forward and then just explodes, and then Owner thinks that that's his moment. It's a double again for this Nocturne, and he survives. The logistics protocol coming in from Carrier to make sure that the Nocturne doesn't burn down.
It's a massacre. Weibo again try to get something, and initially the play looks good, but I think the sidestep from Carrier there, he doesn't get caught, and with Renata alive, it becomes so hard. While all of that was happening, the Shy was rotating over. Zeus just backed.
Yeah, Zeus isn't even here. They decide, hey, we gotta go now. We're falling behind. The initial play looks good as Owner gets chunked down so incredibly low. Xiaohu flying in, but this is the sidestep that you're talking about right here as Xiaohu goes for it with the last charge there. Both Guma and Carrier, beautiful sidestep, and then Crisp gets thrown in, but it's a flash out from Guma, it's a turn, and it is the one shot from the Draven.
And the one shot from the Nocturne as well, using himself as a bullet into that backline and secures the kill on to Xiaohu. Also, the Dustbringer, I believe, got the kill in the first place. So this Nocturne is just massive.
And it is, again, also a testament to how powerful Renata is. Owner can go for these mega aggressive plays, knowing that as long as he kills his target, he will be able to be bailed out by the rest of his team.
And honestly, even if he dies from this position, because the carries are so fed, it's going to be worth it, right? As long as you are creating space for Guma, for Zeus, for Faker, even if it is that one-way trip here for the Nocturne, it's going to be such a value play as long as they can follow up. And T1 have been on the same page. Weibo seem like their only answer is just forcing more and more fights. You can't win side lane. You can't win 5v5. Your objective stacking has been stopped. It is getting close to checkmate in game number 2.
It's really hard as well, considering the fact that T1 had already built themselves a 1-3-1 composition. There is no comp in the game that is more just win more, right? Because you have win conditions that build upon themselves with a composition like this, where Zeus and Faker can get control of these side lanes all game long. Tempo, something that Weibo is going to have to really, really muscle.
Oh.
Yeah, that is a bit of item in advantage. Yeah.
And when the Shy shows up to a team fight, he is going to have to be absolutely perfect to get anything done, because you are so squishy. If you can't get that first kill for the Dustblade proc to be able to survive, you are going to be paper, because one little CC hits you, Guma's going to kill you instantaneously. He's got 0 armor, he's got 0 HP purchased, so this Aatrox is going to be really squishy.
Additionally, Weibo, after game number 1, obviously tried to pivot, tried to play much to a bot side, and even with them setting Guma up for a deficit, the main issue is just the other lanes. T1 has been able to get the counter pick towards top side twice, and Weibo, you gotta imagine, if T1 is able to play it out from here, have to try something else, because this blind Aatrox, even when protected with bans, just isn't working out.
And I think we have to talk about the journey that Owner has had. You know, he is one of the players that has been so criticized throughout this year. And how good has he been in this series? How good has he been at Worlds?
And this whole tournament, exactly. And on tanks normally, right? But this Nocturne performance, he is playing reserved. He is going in at the right times. This is an Owner that is playing extraordinarily well.
And it also goes back to when Owner initially looked to be his most dominant. His Lee is his most iconic champion, right?
Yeah.
It's more the carry style as we get a charm.
Yeah, Faker is going to break it. Oh, no. He uses it in order to close distance back again, I guess. But never mind. Nothing too much more going to happen. T1 with the opportunity to stack 4 Cloud Drakes.
When you
and they're going to start with the second.
Exactly. When you talk about the comfort and the ability to go towards things like the Lee Sin, I think that has been somewhat indicative of what T1 have wanted to do here at Worlds, and the meta shifts that they have brought in as Owner, maybe looking for a fight.
Yeah, they find the Shy, but he just umbrally dashes over the wall. He will keep himself alive as Weibo just regrouping once again, spotting out the members of T1 moving back from that Drake. And now moving towards the Baron pit. It is 25 minutes into the game, and T1 hasn't gone for a Baron just yet. You can see that they have changed a little bit.
Very reserved.
Yeah.
Yeah. They've really matured, you know.
The Baron's been alive for 5 minutes.
Now they give it like 5 minutes.
This is not by T1.
I think because they were near the Baron pit, though, they have remembered.
Counts.
So I
Does it
imagine
count?
we're going to be playing around that now.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say it counts as them starting and you're just walking by, saying hi to an old friend.
No, I don't think that that's necessarily how it works.
But it's just been so fun to watch T1 because they have been on the forefront of these meta shifts, right? You know, Keria, when it was this double AD carry meta in the bot lane, he was incredible. Being able to bring that back, being able to have Owner on Lee Sin, Guma here on this Draven, being able to see these iconic picks and their comfort is working out so well.
Oh, Paranoia comes in once again as the flash out from the Shy may not be enough. They're under the turret. Owner was tanking it up, and Zeus is going to finish it. Inner turret should now be next on the clock.
And because the rest of T1 is standing guard, Weibo can't try and turn the fact that Owner is towards bot into a Baron, so they just have to watch their teammate get killed through Merc Treads and a Hex Drinker as well.
Yeah, and teleport's still available, so it was only ever going to be a 4v4 anyway.
It is a 4,000 gold lead in top lane, almost 4,500 gold in top lane. That is just ridiculous now at this point. This lead for Zeus is becoming just a nightmare for them to deal with. He has the Cosmic Drive finish now. He's so far ahead of the pace of this game that no one can answer him, and it just felt bad for Crisp. Every time he popping a Senna ult, it's just been to watch his teammate die.
And
he doesn't even get to watch because the lights are out.
He doesn't even get to... that's why would you have to remind me? I
know, it's very cruel.
That's painful.
I'm still remembering back to the Shy outplaying a 1v2.
And then,
And then walking back into the 1v1. As Owner is going to get charmed. It's a decent amount of damage, but he is very far ahead, and he will just be able to wander his way out.
And the problem for me now is that reactively, the Weibo comp, individually they can pick up very well, but if you don't get to the objective first, it becomes very hard to contest, and right now that's not the case.
Yeah, they're definitely not there first. The Baron is down very, very low. There's the paranoia as they look to try and burst down the Baron. They do collect it, and now the hijacked ultimate comes through from Faker. Now Zeus dives in. He's taken matters into his own hands. He hasn't taken any damage. Weiwei has to run away. He gets thrown back by the Bramble Smash, but the damage is already being done. Faker goes gold and does have to flash as Light's doing a fair bit of work with these Rens into the back line. But T1 just took a Baron, they got 5 out.
And Gwen truly is immune. Zeus doesn't care, dives into multiple people and uses his lead very aggressively. And this is where I think you really see the goal difference. Weibo get close in a couple of situations, get some health bars low, and if they had items that might have been enough, but instead they just have to watch T1 walk it off. The only thing invested is a flash and a stopwatch from Faker.
Exactly, and Weiwei just can't actually close the gap to even contest the Baron because the hostile takeover comes through, then the stolen Maokai ult comes through. By the time he's out of CC, the Baron is already gone, and Zeus is running rampant in the back line. T1 just getting further and further ahead. Guma still doesn't even have boots, by the way, but he does have a Bloodthirster and 3 items.
Okay, yep, Kamushi just having a good time, and he knows that he is not the main character necessarily. He's just been able to sit back. And
it's because of the glow drakes!
And,
it doesn't
yes.
need boots!
Oh, that is true! Everyone's Cassiopeia on T1 now. Be prepared. Everybody else actually bought boots, though, which is a little bit of a shame, not making up for it. The Rebel Baron power play already at 2-2, 2-2. That was actually cool that I looked up at the top there when it was a whole lot of 2s.
Nice.
And 1 minute until a potential soul point for both teams. T1 at a 10,000 gold lead, though, or at least very, very close. Should be able to grab advantage and secure that for themselves.
And this is the problem. Once you fall behind against a 1-for-1 comp with a Nocturne, like, what do? If you try to collapse, Nocturne presses R, you don't know how many people are coming, you don't know how many people are responding, and T1, they're looking for more.
Yep, Shahu already taking a bit of poke damage. Light will turn up. As 4 members are here, teleport not available for the Shiva. They dive in, the turret goes down, the needlework just rips the center to shreds, and Zeus just by himself destroying everyone. Hostile takeover comes in, Light has the cleanse, but you can't cleanse death. It's a triple kill for Zeus, and they'll get to work on the inhibitor. It might just be the game right here.
Zeus playing like his namesake, a god! This guy is going crazy in the finals!
Just extraordinary as Zeus helps clear up this second Nexus turret, and T1 at match point already.
And by the end of that game, the kill score is 1-14.
That was a little bit even more one-sided than the last game. And T1 really on the back of Zeus, the man who had been performing less good, we should say, in some of these finals in the past, really showing up here today. This is exactly what we've been touting for this guy for so long. But T1 are 1 game away from clinching their 4th Worlds title. But before we get into break, let's have a look.
Second game, they tried that kind of splash into ADRE, ended up selling the Kerchi Shard. I don't think it really accomplished anything. They've seen some little different looks. We saw that the Senna plus the Glista, that didn't really work for them either. So if there's anything left for Weibo, you got to bring it out now.
Is it the Emperor of Shurima, though? And it is. It's going to be locked in for Xiaohu. This is his oldest signature pick from even back when I was casting the LPL. He was definitely a lover of this one. And speaking of lovers, the duo themselves going to be locked in here by T1. Favorites of them also.
Really big pivot here coming out from T1. I was actually thinking about the Kalista. That to me seemed like a pickup that could come through, but with the Renata gone, doesn't look like they want to prioritize it quite the same way. I would love the Poppy. I think that Poppy Azir specifically is a really strong combo, and it's also one of Weiwei's best champions. We'll see what Owner ends up picking up into it, but I do think that Weibo are kind of forced to pick up a bot lane here to prevent getting banned out.
Yeah, and they're clearly not sure if they want to go for Poppy here, so they're just buying themselves a little bit more time. They do grab Varus, and will it be a full bot lane to answer, or will he go towards that Poppy? Because I agree, Weiwei, it is his best champion. It's great as an answer to the Rakan. It answers a lot of the meta top laners that we're seeing today as well. But there is that risk of if you don't grab your bot laner now, you could get banned out, and potentially things could go terrible in the bot lane.
No, you're exactly right. Well, speaking of the bottom lane, a lot of pressure here if the Heimerdinger is going to be locked in, but instead it's the Bard, and this is a big question on a lot of people's minds. Is Crisp happy to bring this one out? It's one of the ones that Keria has looked fantastic on, and now it's going to be Crisp's turn at the champion. See whether it is going to work out here, as now the shoe is on the T1 foot.
It is an interesting pick, but generally I like Bard as the later pick in the draft. When you have multiple immobile carries, I think it's really strong. But now T1 can just go champions that have dashes, that have the ability to actually avoid this ultimate. And already you have a call. You can dodge it with your R, you can dodge it with your E, you can have the speed up from your W to move out of it. So there's a lot of ways already there. Plus Xayah can ult for ult. That's not the best trade, but this is not like an Ashe or Iana type team that Bard I think is going to have an incredible amount of success into. So even if Crisp has a good game, I don't think that really guarantees you anything with the pick from this angle.
And I was actually looking towards the Sylas, even with no Maokai yet being picked up. We've seen that be a really popular counter pick into the Azir. It is going to be the Akali instead. Obviously does suffer a little bit more in lane, but once you get to the side lane, incredible amount of damage that can come out, and we've seen T1 use any form of side lane pressure really well within the series thus far. Also do note, with the Varus already being there, and I wouldn't be surprised if Weibo tried to do the same thing that T1 have done into a lot of these Xayah Rakan lanes, which is go very bot focused, right? Because we already have the Varus and the Bard. We don't know what the jungler is going to be, and they want to deny the Wukong as a way to reliably getting to that back line.
And if the Poppy is banned away, which is the champion that's most fun to play, it is going to be the Lee Sin. And once again, Owner is going to be on his signature pick. And now, with counter pick going towards either technically, you know, Zeus or Faker, but probably Zeus. A difficult choice now for the Shy. Does he run it back
Bel'Veth.
third time in a row? Bel'Veth going to be locked in here. The Shy thinking about the Electric Rat, and it is going to be the cannon locked in. Now, what is the answer from Zeus?
It could just be something like a Gnar if he wants to play it a little bit more safe. I do think you want to be pretty careful about what you're playing into a Kennen plus a Bel'Veth. A lot of times we've seen it heavy on the invades, heavy on that top side pressure. Something like a Gnar, you know, would keep you relatively safe, but the Aatrox, this is a confident pick. I feel like if he's going Aatrox into the Kennen Bel'Veth, that is some scary stuff, but Zeus has been playing out of his mind this entire series, and we'll have to see if it's going to work for them. But I respect Weibo taking a big pivot here, right? They go towards comfort with the Azir. They go towards something very different on the top side with the Kennen Bel'Veth. They go towards Bard. They can move around the map. They can set up fights. They can be able to try to potentially, you know, group up around this Bel'Veth, invade Owner heavily, and see if they can find a way into this series.
And in the previous games, and in a lot of the games where T1 have looked as dominant as they did, it's all about the lane prio. Do they have early laning leads? Can they push those to the furthest? When I look at the lanes here, that's not going to be the case. Even if Zeus and Faker play the matchup extremely well, for the first 6 levels at the very least, barring any major owner or carrier interference, you're not going to have the best of times. Same for bot lane, Varus, Bard, going to be really tough to deal with. So I do think that Weibo have a lot of prio set up, and compare that or add the Bel'Veth to that, might be their opportunity to find their way back into the series.
No, I agree. I think pivoting away from these Maokai drafts that we've seen over and over again is going to be a breath of fresh air for this team, and that's precisely what they need with their backs this far against the wall in the World Final.
And I think more than anything, they need a good start, right? They need a confidence booster. They need something to go right for them early here that they can rally around, that they can build that confidence in, and really just try to get into a comfort zone, because they have looked nervous, they have looked uncomfortable. T1, from the time they walked out on the stage, looked cool, calm, collected, and it has showed in their play.
It absolutely has, and I just want to see some play that is going to show me why Danny had such a huge grin on his face when he was walking back from the coach's booth with the team. And here we are to find out on to the Rift for game number 3. Match point for T1 as they are up 2-0 in this series. See whether they're going to be ending the World Final in this one, or whether Weibo Gaming can bring us to at least a game 4.
And T1 themselves know that just being at match point, not going to be enough.
And you can connect your League of Legends account with Prime Gaming. Grab the exclusive Braum W emote. We might not be able to say this again, so just make sure
do it now.
That you do it now.
You gotta be quick.
Yeah.
Well, you don't, but you know, you do gotta do it.
Yeah, you should do it.
I mean, you can also do it post-finals, right?
Right, but as long as you do it, that's
the important part.
Yeah.
You need that emote.
Yeah.
And I think that we saw last year with the run that DRX was able to make, that just being in a rough position, looking like you're down and out, that in of itself doesn't mean that the series is lost. And I think we see it both in T1, how much more, as you were saying, calm and collected, not just when they came out, but particularly when you see them. And this also goes back to the series against JDG, where even when they got the early wins, there was no apparent joy, right, that you'd expect, because they know just because you're up 2-0 doesn't mean that if Weibo doesn't get this game, gets a good angle in draft, can bring it back.
And look at this start here from T1. It was Owner starting over on the Raptors, and he actually got leashed on Raptors by Zeus because they were so nervous about that potential invade that Bel'Veth teams have been doing so often. Also worth noting that Crisp, level 1, ran straight top and gave a lane ward to the Shy, which is going to deny the ability for Zeus to poke in and out of that brush, drop aggro, be able to hide and use that. So really emphasizing that play towards the top side. And we'll see where Weiwei does want to go, because he is just power farming on his bot side for now. So we'll be clearing up towards top, but no sort of a move towards an invade.
Yep, going to be able to finish off his red buff. We'll then get things sorted as Faker here on his 5th unique champion of the tournament. As we have a look at all of the lanes so far, Weibo actually with great position as far as tempo and control is concerned.
Yeah, and this is what we were talking about. This should be heavily in favor of Weibo. We do see Faker is able to put in a little bit of pressure. I think that's partially because they're not 100% certain where Owner is. I don't think he was tracked early on, but both for the Shy and for Crisp and Light, they're able to find the early leads. Now the question is, can they maybe set up, say, a double scuttle or get an early back? The Shy also did go for Call, so is looking to try and play as aggressively as possible while naturally being able to get ahead just by the virtue of cashing out.
Yep, Light getting some Bel'Veth wards in there as well, just to give Weiwei the opportunity to get towards the enemy jungle. Right now, he is just finishing off his top side. He's going to be able to get that one through, and then it is Rift Scuttlers that we're looking at as T1 moving a little bit further forward is Carrier, but not going to be punished too hard, just loses 50% of his health bar. And we are just going to see Weiwei on this ward for T1. So vision given over, some information there. T1 do gather in this early stage.
And it could mean Owner goes top, because now you know that the jungler can't be there to answer, so there is a potential angle to look for him. And he did just use his Lightning Rush, so I think he's in trouble.
Yeah, there's the flash Q3 from Zeus. The Shy is in trouble. The Lightning Rush is on cooldown. He gets slowed down by the cripple, and the Q's going to land. Owner secures it, and that is first blood for T1.
It's perfect timing from T1, and it's all because of the Raptors ward. It was a clear top to bot from Weiwei, but he wrapped down to try to go towards that bot side scuttle. As soon as they saw him on that ward, they knew they could go for it on top side. Zeus, no hesitation, starts it off with the flash in. But without that E from Kennen, there's just no way you're going to get out of that long lane.
And we will see if Weiwei is able to maybe make a play towards bot side as Owner making his way over to mid.
Yeah, it's going to safeguard forward there as Faker dashes in, and Xiaohu will survive. Faker just barely managing to walk away.
Whoa.
As now they come in. Oh, the grand entrance, phenomenal from Carrier. We'll see whether he can survive though. He's trying to get out. The piercing arrow will do it. And Weibo Gaming even out the scoreline.
Light knocks him down. That was a big kill for them on the bot side. They need something to rally around, and perhaps it is Light in this potentially final game.
Tell you what, that was a pretty cool looking grand entrance though.
I gotta say, Weibo, again, to me, he is the guy that makes it happen. I think he's been the player that has really impressed me the most here on Weibo. He keeps trying to make these plays, and it's been kind of the saving grace for Weibo in the early game with how much they've been pressured.
And you have to say, it's really concerning to see the Shy die top lane once again here with how Zeus has been playing. If you cannot keep this guy down, he is just on fire. But it is Zeus with no flash, and it is Crisp up on top side. But missing his Ignite, I don't know that he can really go into this wave and try to fight him.
You can see Zeus is going to get some vision down on top of the ward that Weibo already have. And they know that this is where they need to defend, right? You can see the Shy with a couple of wards already invested here towards this top side. Now underneath this turret, Zeus finding these little Qs. Magical Journey, definitely a possibility, and Weiwei wants to take it with Crisp here. Let's see whether they can get an angle. 3 versus 1. He does try and get out. There's the World Ender. He's trying to avoid all of this CC, and it's not going to work. There's the kill for Weiwei.
Really good communication there for Weibo. They know that Zeus wants to try and get the wave in, so the Shy is setting himself up as juicy bait, and Zeus takes it.
But the question is, how much do you lose bot side? Because we talked about Light as the hope in this game. Light now is going to be fully zoned off the wave. They lose the Dragon as well, because there was so much time spent top side they're going to lose at least one plate bot, maybe two, and likely most of, if not all of this wave, because he's totally zoned off until Crisp arrives. So yes, they do get a kill on top side, but T1 are taking a lot down here on bot as well.
And it's not going to be a Cloud Soul this time around, gentlemen. It is going to be Cloud Drake coming up second, so we will get a different Soul. We'll see what that is going to be a little bit later on. Zeus comes back up towards this top side, about 20 CS down. So the top lane that Weibo have been focusing on is kind of working out, but like you're talking about, so much is going to hinge around Light. Does still have a CS advantage. That bottom side certainly is somewhere that T1 can play through.
And this is also where the early kill on Light, I think, makes a really big difference, because the fact that he was able to get that kill means that even with him having to give up some of his laning lead and Gumayusi picking up a plate, still going to be in a great position. Guma and Keria, though, now taking control, as we do have Weiwei here again.
Yeah, Control Ward has come in, of course. Crisp, he can make these tunnels. So they are a little bit closer than you might otherwise expect, but no, not going to pull the trigger on anything, understanding that T1 have full information of what's going on.
Exactly. They knew they've been spotted. They're not sure where Owner is on the map right now, so it would be a risky play if Owner is shadowing them. He is level 6, so Weiwei just going to keep his farm up as much as he possibly can and re-clear that bot side jungle. But Faker, time and time again, has just been pushing out, moving into the enemy jungle, getting a ward down, and now pulls the wave to push towards him. So that entire wave is going to be denied from Xiaohu as it comes in towards Faker, and that's going to even out a lot of the CS in that mid lane.
We can also see that Owner is in that area as well, so setting up for a potential gank. You can see Crisp going to come up, try and make sure that this mid lane is going to be sorted out. And with this wave pretty prepped, this is going to be a very satisfying queue. Oh, Faker doesn't even let us see it.
He just wants to deny even more CS if he can, and now Zeus cheating down. They're trying to get vision on where Weiwei is, and they know he's not going to be in the topside jungle. Owner is there, Zeus is there, Keria is there as well, so they can now move up and potentially start up this Rift Herald, because they do have Prio.
And Zeus now back towards his top side with Owner in tow, wanting to get a little bit of revenge. And even though First Blood came in, the Shy still has a CS advantage. Lightning Rush to get him out of there as Owner just mini-stun, kick into the wall. That is going to be the execution, but the ultimate is going to be there from the Shy. And after the flash, he will survive, and now it's Weiwei's turn. Can he actually get this one as Owner? About 50%, the safeguard to try and get out the flash, but the knock-up, it's still there, and Crisp comes in for the kill. They get some knock-up. Zeus will survive, but not the least in. Meanwhile, on the bottom side of the map, the Blade Caller not quite there for Gumayusi. Picture in picture, as you can see, and Faker looking for a little bit more. He connects the backflip, or the shuriken of the backflip, and isn't going to be able to find too much more. So Weibo should be able to get themselves this Rift Herald.
Really important moment here, because with Belva, if you want to get those early heralds, it's the Shy actually turning it around this time, staying alive for long enough for reinforcements to come in. Owner and Zeus don't actually get to 100 to 0, and that is the Herald going over to Weiwei.
Yeah, Light just staying his ground. And when you do have the lethal tempo Varus, have to be a little bit scared if you are Gumayusi. So he's going to be going back, but still just a trade of ghosts in the end. Very
close stuff. I mean, both of them had committed their ults in that previous exchange where Guma was chasing him down in that bot lane. But this is Weibo on the brink of despair here in a match point game, being able to stay alive. Nice sidestep on that Q from the Shy, was so clean as he flashes out, but not so far to let them out of that ultimate. Weiwei goes in, everyone is piling up here, but it's Crisp who arrives first.
And it's the failed flash from Owner, right? Just on the edge, sets it up easily for Crisp. Even if he does hit that, I don't know if he gets out because he still has to walk past the wall. Crisp might have been able to clip him with how well he has been playing in this game. And a really big win for Weibo because they're already ahead in gold, but the fact that they will be able to utilize this Herald for a really big gain in the side lane with the pressure that it gives the Belva, going to be a really big win.
You can see the Strikebreaker complete now for Weiwei as well. Having that Mythic really powerful on this champion. You queue up on top of them, you slow them down. That sets up your W very, very nicely. And you can usually get a full E channel with that. So we'll see if Weiwei can stay aggressive and if they can keep the Shy in this power position that he has created slightly for himself, you know, not obviously at a massive advantage, and Zeus doing as Zeus always does, building lethality.
Yep, he does very much like to have a bit of burst on this Aatrox, but I like that Weibo have just stuck to their game plan, right? They're playing around topside, they're getting the Shy, like you say, into these positions, and even though Zeus isn't necessarily ridiculously far behind, as you can see in the CS, it's pretty close, but still, the Shy will have these very impactful ultimates, and Weiwei is the benefactor here, sitting at 1-0 and 2. Able to get some control on this Belveth, and we know she can be devastating if she gets ahead.
And it's just been kind of this return to more what Weibo showed us in the LPL, this play towards topside, this focus on the Shy. It hasn't been about going towards Light and Crisp, and potentially that is because Guma and Keria are so hard to attack in a lot of these situations.
Oh, Q going to connect there. Nice little knock-up as Keria tries to find it. There's the quickness onto 2. The kick gets the knock-up onto Xiaohu. The Empress Divide only gets Owner, but that will get him out. But Weiwei's not going to be so lucky. The Shy got in here, and now he might be in trouble. He breaks the chains, but is he still going to be able to get out? Gumayushi decides he wants to fight Light towards the bottom side. That was the right call. Zeus grabs the double kill, and Weibo lose out on the fight.
And while the laning setup is there this time around for Weibo, their early game looking a lot better. The skirmishes, they're still not able to make work, although teleport coming in.
Yeah, teleport from this top side of the river. Xiaohu coming in, looking for the opportunity, doesn't have the ultimate. They secure the Drake. Does T1. Grand Entrance not going to find the target there. Onto Crisp as the Tempered Fate comes in. Faker trying to play Bouncer to keep his team alive. And the ultimate doesn't really work out here from Crisp. Still, they don't lose too much, even though Xiaohu is on the other side of the map. And they're buying time for the fact that there is just a guy on the top side of the map taking plates.
Yeah, they can't get anything. It's a great ulti from Chris, but no one is there to follow it up. And as you say, Chronicler, again, it's T1 out skirmishing Weibo, who were in that power position coming into this fight, it felt like, but T1 just preempt the play. They press the go button, they find that engage, and they push Weibo out of there. And it's Keria and Owner grouping up and starting this off.
And initially you see Weibo wanting to try and look for something here, but Keria with his charm buys so much time, and then the moment that Faker hits that E on Weiwei, his fate is sealed, flashes over the wall just to die to Zeus, actually giving him the reset. And then this is the point where already as Weibo, you have this incredibly strong like level 6 comp with the Shy, with your ultimate, and they just don't get to use it.
Yeah, and that's just T1 really understanding their position in this game. They find the opportunity, they force the engage. That's one of the really powerful things you can do against comps like Kennen comps, where you just get on this guy, you put him under pressure, you force him to use his ultimate in a situation that he doesn't want, just almost defensively, as they were able to there. And it just means that Weibo now losing that second dragon. This one's going to be an Ocean Soul available, which would be pretty devastating, I think, for their chances. It would mean that the Shy is not going to be able to play through sides at all.
Yeah, exactly. And on the other side, if there was some control here for Weibo, then they can utilize this Varus poke very expertly, right? You can play in that neutral effectively if you can get themselves some of these dragons. 4 of them would seem pretty good, but it also feels a little bit like a pipe dream at this stage. You have a look at the gold though, 300 still in advantage of Weibo. No first turret to go down just yet as the plates fall. Not too many of them going over, but we're having a look at the amount of Drakes that have been stacked, and the fact that T1 once again have a bit of control on this map, I think, is the problem.
They have been dominating the objective game all day, it has felt like. Weibo rarely able to really get a foot in, it feels like, at these critical objective fights. The setups from T1 have been better. They have been more prepared when these fights are going to break out. And you can see in the MasterCard lane economy snapshot, once again, Zeus now is ahead. And that is going to be so tough for the Shy, because you really are dependent upon these early game leads that you build up as a Kennen to be able to play through sides later on.
And Zeus also has been, not historically, right, has actually had an issue with that, but domestically, outside of finals, been so consistent in even when he is behind, generating value. I remember a Jace game where he went like 0-3 early on. Yep. He was still able to output insane amounts of damage, and now he is playing the lethality Aatrox yet again, the only one who consistently has had success with this specific build.
Oh, Keria is going to get out of the way.
For Weibo, this Herald to me is kind of a must-win. You need to get that, need to break open the map. We'll see if they're able to get it done.
And Weibo are going to have to count on their carries. Xiaohu, Light in a good spot here. Xiaohu has been able to make it happen at many international tournaments. 3 MSI titles for this guy, but Worlds thus far has not been as much about him as it has the others. And maybe this is the time now that he can step up on this Azir, on this comfort pick. Maybe can make that big play that can claw this series back for Weibo, because T1 are coming and they're looking for a fight.
Yep, they're seeing what they can do here as Faker moving into Fog of War. Potential teleport angle here as Light. I don't think you're going to be able to get through that way, but still, Weibo with the Shy on the flank angle. He has flash available, and now the teleport comes in behind him. Faker wanting to find his angle in. They don't get the knock-up. A little bit of mistiming there from Weiwei as the Rift Herald is going to reset. She heads back into the pit, and Weibo going to have to start over.
But still, Light could never actually move from mid lane over because these wards are actually covering his move through the river. He can't actually get over there. He would get engaged on by Keria. He knew it. He read the play, but Weibo can't commit to the Herald without their AD carry being able to join.
At this very least, though, Weibo do force Faker his TP. Doesn't get to just push to his heart's content towards that bot side of the map. See if they want to continue trying to contest there, because it looks like T1 not really that interested in the Herald themselves, but very interested in ensuring that Weibo don't pick it up and looking for a fight angle if they do try to commit to it.
You can understand it. Of course, Belveth does quite like securing those Heralds. Crown now complete. Xiaohu moving towards his Nash's Tooth. Not necessarily the most damage, but will have a lot of consistent impact in a lot of these fights as well. And avoiding getting burst down, certainly going to be very, very strong. As Faker picks up this top wave closer to Herald, does make a lot of sense. And we've got 1 second on this Dragon, which is where T1 are going to put their attention. Crisp gets over the wall with the tiny little magical journey. It's going to work out, though.
Yeah, they are going to be able to have the inside track on this Dragon. Faker was up on the top side, has no TP, so he has to run down. As Xiaohu has pushed in bot, the Shy will answer top side, but they don't really have any deep wards for him to TP to, so if he does join, it will be very much so on Weibo's side of the fight.
Yeah, Faker just going to backflip away from the knockup from Weiwei. So Weibo not going to find too much there as Ona in the river. Zeus just clearing out this Gromp, wanting to get some control back, and looks like T1 happy to start off this Drake, although it's not behaving itself all that much. Keria, with all of his buttons up and available, the engage potential is going to be there. Control ward just eviscerated here. As T1 trying to do the same thing. Teleport now to come forward. As Zeus on that flank angle. The Shy now here. And Gumayushi pretty safe now on that back line.
Look at Keria, though. It's so hard for Weibo to walk up because Keria is on that sideline. They know he's there.
Yeah, he flashes in. He finds himself. The charm onto fours. There is the ultimate from the Shy, but it just doesn't quite do enough. They try and get out, but Faker has the perfect execution and locks down his fellow ninja. Xiaohu now taking a whole lot of damage, and Faker is in the shroud. He's toying with him. It's a double kill. What? Order! And back in again. It's a triple for Faker. Zeus is going to be able to block down the next one. Faker eventually goes down, but it's 4 for him and Keria.
And that is T1 turning the situation around. Their health bars are low. Not all of Weibo's cooldowns actually hit the mark, but it doesn't matter. They're still looking pretty good. If only they could take down Faker. But they don't. The reinforcements come in, and T1 set up Soul Point.
They just can't. Light fishes with the Q, won't get it. It's T1, 1 game from the World Championship. It's T1, 1 Dragon from Soul. And Keria gets spotted. He says, great, I'm going to engage. Both your Soul Laners are stacked up. Keria goes right in, knocks them both up. The Bard ulti comes through there. I think it was meant to protect the Shy and Xiaohu, but it kind of backfired as it immuned the ulti coming through from the Shy.
And from Xiaohu, that was 2 ultimates that just didn't find their mark. The anti-synergy, really rough for Weibo here with their backs against the wall. They just don't find the angle, and that is Soul Point set up. A triple kill for Faker on Akali, a champion that, well, of course, we knew he could play, but we hadn't seen this year just yet.
I tell you what, it's pretty poignant seeing him play Sylas and Akali in this series, though, after what happened last year. Just showing that it doesn't really matter what the meta's like. Faker's there. There is always going to be an opportunity. Just kind of cute after what had happened.
I mean, the man is the meta. This guy has been around forever, and it is so impressive to see how well he is playing, because I don't think you could make the argument that he has been the best performing mid laner individually since 2017. This year, you can make that argument. He has been tearing it up. He's been great in lane, has really been impressive in team fights, and it just feels like a rejuvenated Faker.
And he goes again, as now Ona looking for that opportunity as well. Backflip connects also as the perfect execution comes forward. Has he overstepped? The answer is no, because he had the stopwatch anyway, and now the cavalry comes in. Crisp, the next to go down. Weiwei, he's under a turret. Zeus flashes on top. The lethal Aatrox gonna get it done, and T1, they feel like it's Baron time.
It's the king at home. Respect the name. Faker, the greatest of all time. Styling on him in Soul.
And Light desperately trying to get something going here. Not going to be the case.
He's not going to be allowed to because Faker wants to keep his whole house alive as well, but it's not going to work out. He goes into the Shroud. I don't know whether this is necessarily the fight that you want to take, but Xiaohu's going to turn up. Faker is going to get out. The Baron secured here for T1 on all 5 members as we tick just past 21 minutes.
And as we take another look here, you see how ready T1 is, right? Everyone already on their way. And this cannon, not in the greatest of spots, uses his ultimate only on Faker, stays alive with the stopwatch, and then that ultimate from Chris doesn't hit the mark.
And how clean is that from Owner? I think it was a drive-by smite kill as he had queued Weiwei, going past the cannon, smites him down out of the air. Everyone from T1, they are feeling it. They know they are potentially 1-2 fights away from claiming this elusive title. That this team, that now is the roster with the most international games played together all time of any roster in history, has not been able to claim that title. They are getting so damn close to it.
Incredibly. It's just over 4,000 gold the lead. They have Soul Point available as well. And Keria showing absolute mastery on this Rakan as well. This is something that he has been extraordinarily feared on. And this was, in fact, when we were touting Gumayusi and Keria as the greatest bottom lane in the world, it was when they were playing champions like this. It's when they were flexing the meta so incredibly much. But Keria's engages always absolutely fantastic. We'll see whether he can utilize those alongside this extraordinary play that we've already seen from Zeus and Owner in the previous games, and especially Faker here in this one.
And this is the moment, I think, for Xiaohu in particular. You need to find a hero play. You need to get multiple people. And it's really hard because, as we see, the Baron power play 41, upwards of 2k gold. They're setting up for an Ocean Soul in about a minute. And everyone on T1 has so much mobility. But if they don't find a play like that and the game plays out the way it has, there is just no way. You need to get a Xiaohu to Shy Wombo combo, possibly set up by Crisp, and give Light an opportunity to pop off, because otherwise T1's going to get Soul, they're going to get the next Baron, and they're going to win the series. And Keria
gonna get knocked up here as Owner comes on over. He's here to protect his support. The quickness ties them all up, and Xiaohu going to be the next target. He finds 2 with the Emperor's Divide, but Crisp just evaporates. Weiwei going to suffer the same fate as Zeus is on the warpath. Light able to sidestep, finds the Chains of Corruption, but there's not enough damage. Xiaohu decent flash to try and get himself out, but he's not out of the woods yet as Faker tidies up that kill, and they are just so far ahead. Owner secures Light with a Sonic Wave, and the Shy finds himself alone heading back towards his base. That's the double kill. That's the clean ace for T1.
and T1. Weibo tried, they know they have to contest this dragon, they have to contest the soul, but they're not even given the opportunity. They thought they got Keria, but Keria says, come get me.
And it looks to me like they're going to take this inhibitor and move back. It may not be the end of the series, but it might be the last moment that Weibo felt hope in it. As Crisp clearing out some control vision. Owner wants to grab himself a soul to finish this game off on.
And T1 are just on fire. All 5 players in this final game here potentially playing out of their minds. They are 5 brains, 1 player. It's like everything is perfectly coordinated. They think they've caught Keria, but everyone from T1 piles in lightning fast. Owner is here. Zeus pops the ulti fast for the move speed from the top side. Baker coming in from the bottom. T1 collapses from every angle, and Weibo are wiped from the map.
And there's nothing to do, right? The moment that they're not able to 100-0 anyone on T1, as soon as reinforcements arrive, you're gonna get blown up, and the gold leads as Light desperately tries to at least get Zeus. Won't even get that.
It's heartbreaking as now they take a magical journey over Zeus. He likes this one though, 1 versus 3. He's absorbing so much, the Emperor's Divide. It comes in, but he's still alive. What is going on? Baker tidies up the burst. Everyone's just exploding as Weiwei trying to get something done, but it does not matter. T1 are too strong.
4 times T1 has lost in a game 5. 4 times they've been knocked out, and 4 times they have got back up for this moment.
It was 7 years since their last, a decade since their first. The SKT legacy has been reignited. T1 will be your 2023 World Champions.
It took them 2 years to win a title again. Spring 2021, this roster came up, they stomped the LCK, they stomped the playoffs, and then at MSI we started to see the cracks. And then last year at Worlds it felt like they'd been able to recuperate from all that, but it wasn't the case. It took them 1 more year to take the lessons that they'd learned in 2022.
And so many had doubts after what had happened in the summer split. But you can see that joy on this team. And you can see the devastation on the side of Weibo as they look on. T1, they must feel like this is a long time coming. They had to work so incredibly hard to get here to this stage.
And how much sweeter that victory has to be after time and time and time again. This T1 roster tasted the bitter defeat. They were the ones on the receiving end of these losses. It started to feel like they might never be able to do it.
You can see as we headed by Tiffany and co, T1 finally hoisting it with the new name. SKT was their name when they had the first 3, and now this team that so many adore will finally hoist the Summoners Cup.
And they've waited for it. Last year, the story wasn't about them. But this year it is. All the pent-up emotion for this team, all the disappointment, it's led to this.
And what an incredible run. With 4 LPL teams remaining, T1 were the last team from any other region, let alone the LCK. They took down BLG 2-0. They swept LNG. They crumbled JDG's Golden Road. And now, here in the finals, another sweep, absolute domination against Weibo. There is no doubt who the greatest team in the world today is.
And you can see Faker especially looking on while his teammates are raising the cup as well. He's done it 3 times. This is the first time, and he'll hoist it for the 4th. I can't believe it. The GOAT has bookended his first